Hey there, RP1 Nation. This is RP1 Texas. Welcome to another edition of RFRP Texas History Lessons. Today we get a real treat. We actually have 5 historical markers all together here in Douglas, Texas. So I'm going to walk down the line and we're going to talk about each one. The first one, Louis Juneau de Saint-Denis. Canadian Frenchman Louis Juneau de Saint-Denis played an important role in the beginnings of Texas. In 1711, Spanish father Francisco Hidalgo in East Texas wrote a letter to the French governor Cadillac in Louisiana, seeking assistance from the French in the religious conversion of the Caddo Confederacy. For those of you unaware, the Caddo Confederacy was an Indian tribe. In response, Governor Cadillac sent Trader St. Denis, who found that Father Hidalgo had returned to Mexico. Following him, St. Denis arrived at the Presidio de San Juan Bautista del Rio Grande in July 1714 and was arrested and sent to Mexico City. There he gained the trust of the authorities with his vast knowledge of the rivers and terrain of Spanish Texas, and he helped to produce the noted Olivan map of 1717. St. Denis returned to East Texas in 1716 as a guide and ambassador for the Ramon Espinosa Margil expedition that founded a total of 6 missions and a presidio. St. Denis became the commandant at Natchitoches and provided goods and supplies to the Spanish missionaries and soldiers during dire times and actively traded with the Caddo tribes. Spanish authorities continued to forbid his trading activities of contraband goods, but they had little control. Archaeologists have located a St. Denis trading campsite in this vicinity. Lost my place. Through his travels, St. Denis contributed to the expanded geographical knowledge of New Spain, and he was the first European to travel the entire length of the El Camino Real from Louisiana to Mexico City. Because of his expertise with the native Indians, the Spanish grew to loathe St. Denis, and upon his death, the governor in Mexico City is said to have declared, "St. Denis is dead, thank God." Wow. On this other side, we have El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. Yeah, gotta point the phone further down. As you can see, this trail comes out of Louisiana. It comes through right where we are, Nacogdoches, Douglas, Crockett, Buffalo, Franklin, all these places, and goes down into Mexico. On to the next one. Mission Nuestra Señora de la Purísima Concepcion de los Inais. Wow. Originally built in 1716. Mission Nuestra Señora de la Purísima Concepcion de los Inais was established during Domingo Ramon's expedition to forge Spanish settlements in Texas. Father Felix Isidro de Espinosa was the president of Querétaro Missions in Texas, founded Concepcion on July 7th of 1716. In the village of Inais, the lead tribe of the Hasinai or Tejas Caddo. Wow. The lead tribe of the Hasinai or Tejas Caddo accounts indicate that Mission Concepcion was located east of the Angelina River and that the church and missionary residence were placed on a north-south oriented mesa or terrace near 2 springs. It served as the original headquarters of the missions in East Texas, and Ramon placed Presidio Dolores nearby. The important French trader and diplomat St. Denis visited Concepcion many times. Following a period of hardship and drought, Mission Concepcion was resupplied in 1718 during a visit by Governor Martin de Alarcon. A house was built near the mission for the governor. Alarcon moved to Sagacious? Not sure about that one. Alarcon moved the sagacious Caddo translator, Angelina, to the mission as well. Yeah, that's an unfamiliar word to my vocabulary. All the East Texas missions were abandoned in 1719 due to a French attack on Mission San Miguel, but were soon reestablished and reinforced by the 1721 Aguayo expedition. Due to the closure of nearby Presidio in 1729, Concepcion was relocated to the San Antonio River in 1731 and renamed Mission Nuestra Señora de la Purísima Concepción de la Acuña. During the first 14 years of permanent Spanish occupation of Texas, Mission Concepcion was a key hub along El Camino Real de las Tejas, fostering an interaction among Catholic priests, Spanish governors, French traders, and East Texas Indian groups. Man, ain't that something. I can't get enough of this, y'all. Can't get enough of this. Number 3. Presidio Nuestra Señora de los Dolores de los Tejas. On April 25th, 1716, Captain Domingo Ramon embarked on an expedition to establish a permanent settlement in the Spanish province of Texas, which resulted in the establishment of Presidio Nuestra Señora de los Dolores de los Tejas, also called Presidio Dolores or Presidio de los Tejas. Captain Ramon left the Presidio San Juan Bautista and crossed the Rio Grande with a group of more than 70 people to build and occupy a fort and a chain of missions among the Tejas Indians of the Caddo Confederacy in East Texas. French trading with the Caddo Indians was heavily present by 1716, and a French attack on a Mission San Miguel in 1719 prompted the Spanish to abandon Presidio Dolores and the missions. Spanish and French tensions eased in 1721. The Marquis de San Miguel de Aguayo, the new Spanish governor, reestablished Presidio Dolores and the 6 missions. Sketches of Presidio Dolores exhibited a square-shaped fort with 2 bastions on opposite corners, an interior plaza with small houses along its perimeter, and a chapel near the Presidio Dolores was closed. A chapel near the south bulwark. After a 1727 Spanish military review, Presidio Dolores was closed in 1729, and the 3 nearby western missions were abandoned in 1730. Presidio Dolores was not only significant because it was the first Presidio in the province of Texas, it was also the first Spanish settlement to have women and children. Its status as an established Presidio helped to displace French ownership claims over Texas. The Commission of Control of the Texas Centennial placed a centennial marker in 1936 to honor the Presidio's legacy. Hey, come on. We got to get the next one. We got to stand a little further away, though, because it's kind of hard to read that close. San Patricio Rancho. William Barr and Samuel Davenport arrived in Nacogdoches by 1797 and settled on 9 leagues of land called Presidio Viejo, where the old Presidio Dolores was located. The traders renamed the Grant San Patricio after the Irish patron Saint Patrick. Before the turn of the 19th century, the Spanish government had granted them a commission to supply the Native Americans with trade items in exchange for pelts, peltries, furs, and livestock. By 1803, Barr and Davenport had a monopoly to trade with the Indians and provide food and clothing to the soldiers stationed in Nacogdoches. With the monopoly intact, they developed a series of land grants along El Camino Real on major East Texas rivers. Each location had a crossing with sufficient pasture land to provide forage for cattle and horses, or land to raise corn and other crops. Each site also served as a way station for rest, protection, and food for travelers. Guess who could use that about now? Each location was part of the overall trade network, which was linked to their headquarters at Nacogdoches and extended to Natchitoches, Louisiana. The eastern markets, at times, Barr and Davenport also supplied goods as far as westward as San Antonio. Various groups of Caddo Indians lived freely within the boundaries of each land grant, while the employees of Barr and Davenport often lived and conducted their trade within the distant scattered Indian villages. They used this series of land grants as centers to restock supplies. Travelers that followed El Camino Real from Nacogdoches to San Antonio or vice versa had to pass through San Patricio to cross the Angelina River. San Patricio Rancho is a true example of the rich Spanish and French history of the area. Man, ain't that something? All right. So Douglas, Texas is here really because it used to be like a waypoint, a cross point for a lot of trading routes. That's the takeaway here. A lot of military, Spanish and French expeditions. Let's go on to read number 5. It's titled The Town of Douglas. Douglas on the old San Antonio Road, 4 miles east of the Angelina River and 14 miles west of Nacogdoches. The town of Douglas sits on the extreme northeast corner of Old Barr and Davenport Grant, called the San Patricio Ranch. Michael Cosley, known as the father of Douglas, arrived in Texas in spring of 1832. In 1836, at the age of 27, Cosley enlisted as a volunteer in the Texas Army and patrolled San Antonio between the Angelina and Neches rivers. In September 1836, General Houston ordered Cosley and soldiers to go into nearby Cherokee territory to monitor their activities, and soon a formal assignment was made. Anticipating his new proposed town in the area to flourish, Cosley had her surveyor William Rorup lay out the town in a square and began to sell lots. He and his partner Joseph S. Abel owned the first general store named Cosley and Abel. A nearby river port on the Angelina shipped cotton to the Gulf, and a stagecoach line was established. However, before the town took off, Cosley was killed in a gunfight on November 16, 1837, by W.R.D. Spate, the first district clerk of Nacogdoches. The town was named in honor of General Kesley Harris Douglas, a prominent early settler and Republic of Texas congressman. In 1840, the town consisted of a 2-story stagecoach inn, 2 hotels, jail, drugstore, post office, saloons, and a variety of shops. The first church was established in 1837, with 9 people present at the first service. Devastating fires in 1943 and 1954 impeded town growth. Although never as large as its founders intended, the town of Douglas has been a significant gateway for travel, trade, and communications from west to east. So here we have, let me get camera right. We have Douglas Crossroads. It talks about Frenchman St. Denis. It talks about Mission Concepcion, Presidio Dolores, and Rancho San Patricio. Has some artifacts that were found nearby. It has the square town, you know, the drawings of that in the town of Douglas. Yeah. So, this place, come on, buddy. Douglas, Texas, well, you are exactly what I'm treating you as. You're a way station. You're a safe place for travelers. So, good Lord. We are definitely traveling. And it looks like this evening we will stay there at that the Angelina River, which is a large part of why this town was created in the first place. So, true to their intention, in 2022, a cowboy and a Spanish barb are heading through Presidio mission area of Douglas, Texas, traveling 1,000 miles around the state to raise awareness and end veteran homelessness. And this cowboy and his Spanish horse are gonna rest right there at the Angelina River, where cowboys on Spanish horses have been resting for 300 years. Ain't that something? www.rp1texas.org. Go check it out. We're on Facebook. Every social media is at RP1Texas. And we have donate buttons on the website if you're interested. We're going to end veteran homelessness. And I couldn't be happier to be doing this. Thank you all for tuning in.